The Conservative Party went down 29.6 points, now taking 26% of the vote share. The Lib Dems took that seat, Sarah Dyke, at 54.6%. That's up a whopping 28 points. Selby and Ainsty, Labour took that. Keir Mather, 25-year-old, a very young man indeed, taking that seat with 46% vote share. They've gone up 21%. Yet again, the Conservative Party down 25 points, sitting at a vote share of 34.3%. Widely predicted the Conservatives to lose all three seats. However, they did manage to hang on to Uxbridge and South Ruislip. Steve Tuckwell for the Conservative Party, the vote share did drop by 7 points. The Conservatives did take that seat with 45% vote share. Steve Tuckwell there for the Conservatives. Labour at 43.6%, and the Green Party 2.9%. Actually, I was just talking to Natalie Bennett about that. Green Party came third in all three seats. She said that was a triumph. I don't really see 3.4. What did she get? 10.2 in that one. This one 5.1, and the Green Party 2.9% in Uxbridge. So I should think there are some questions to be asked over at Conservative Party headquarters. I'm delighted to say Greg Hands MP, who is the chairman of the Conservative Party, joins me now this morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning, David. Morning.
So what's your thoughts on this? I mean, in some ways, actually, I should think it's a blessing that you managed to retain Uxbridge and South Ruislip. Isn't it the fact, though, it's more about Sadiq Khan and the expansion of Ulez that allowed you to keep that seat rather than national Conservative policies?
Well, David, if I might, two things. You're right, it was Uxbridge that was the really standout result. Really defied the odds. You know, last week Labour were 25 to 1 on to win in Uxbridge, Conservatives 9 to 1 against. You're right that Ulez was the main issue, but there's a wider point here, and that people don't like Labour in government. Labour are not good at running things. Sadiq Khan, 7 years as London Mayor, has not run the city well, and Ulez has been the latest example of a badly thought through Labour policy. But equally, people are fed up with Keir Starmer's approach. Now, Keir Starmer started off the campaign in favour of Ulez. He's an inner London MP. Suddenly put him in outer London, backing his candidate. His candidate is starting to have doubts about Ulez, seeing how unpopular it is in Uxbridge. Keir Starmer starts backing his candidate's doubts, flip-flopping. And with Sir Keir, that's what you get with Starmer. He flip-flops on major issues. You cannot believe what he says is actually what he will do, because he's saying two different things at the same time or shortly after each other. So I think there's some real questions there for Labour and Labour headquarters here, both on people don't feel confident with Labour in power. The same thing is true in Wales. They don't do a good job. People will remember last time when Labour were in power, they left us with no money. So there's a real kind of nervousness about what Labour do in power, and that also was reflected in the Uxbridge result.
Greg, let's leave Uxbridge out of it. I think this is a pretty shocking night, actually, for the Conservative Party. Many people messaging in, you're down 25 points, 29 points in the other two. There's a very strong message coming from the electorate to the Conservative Party saying you've lost your way, you're not Conservative, we have the highest tax burden that we've seen in living memory. The fact is the Conservative Party has lost its way, it's tired, and I think they're sending a very strong message about Rishi Sunak, about the leadership. You know, as well as I do, many of your backbenchers deeply worried about what's going to happen from here. We were talking earlier, 20,000 majority is no longer a safe seat under this Conservative government.
Well, clearly we're disappointed with the results in Selby and Ainsty and Somerton and Frome. Selby and Ainsty in particular, if I might, David, is driven much more by Conservative voters staying at home. That is a problem for us. But I spent a lot of time in Selby and Ainsty. We had an excellent candidate in Claire Holmes. I didn't see anybody coming to the door with enthusiasm for Labour or enthusiasm for Keir Starmer. It's very much the case that people, you know, it's their first chance to vote since all the problems of last year the country had, the Conservative Party had. There's obviously a lot of work for us to do to continue to deliver for the people, particularly against the 5 priorities we've set. So that work will continue. We've made some progress. Inflation has come down. We passed the illegal migration bill last week through Parliament. We're making progress. People want to see us getting on with delivering more.
Greg, the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, has breaking news, said the Tories' by-election victory in Uxbridge and South Ruislip shows the next general election is not a done deal, and vowed to double down, stick to our plan and deliver for people. Now, you're the chairman of the Conservative Party. It's a really important role. What do you do from here? I mean, clearly there is a problem. You're right to identify that people don't necessarily trust Labour. They should be further ahead. They're 18 points ahead currently. But I don't think people trust the Conservative Party either. They've allowed the Conservative Party or they've put trust in the Conservative Party. They don't see a Conservative Party. They're worried about the calibre of MPs coming through as well. What do you do as Conservative Party chairman now? Time is short. You have a general election and people will vote differently if you do not listen.
Well, people want to see the Conservatives getting on with delivering in government. I don't think people want to see Labour in. I think they want to see the Conservatives, Rishi Sunak, the whole team, continuing to deliver. Rishi's been as Prime Minister for 9 months, and he set out those priorities. We're going to continue the really hard work against those 5 priorities. It's too early to be talking about a general election at the moment. The people want to see us delivering in government, doing a good, strong, competent job in government, which is what we are doing. But there's a lot of progress still to be done.
Greg,
It's
not very inspiring, is it, when you say, vote for us, we're not as bad as the other lot? That is not leadership.
No, but I'm not saying that. No, but I'm not saying that, David. I'm saying it is a difficult job. Putin's invasion of Ukraine, the recovery from the pandemic, these are all difficult issues that all countries in the Western world have been facing. Rishi Sunak and the team are getting on with dealing with those issues. There's still a lot of hard work to be done. That is what we are focusing on. What I'm saying at the same time is that people have got real doubts about Labour. And that has been...
No, we heard that. I get that. I get that.
About Sadiq Khan.
I get that. Is Rishi Sunak the right leader?
He absolutely is. Rishi Sunak is more popular than the Conservative Party. He outpolls the party. I haven't had a single conversation. I've been in the 3 by-elections.
Hang on a minute. Does Rishi Sunak really outpoll the Conservative Party? That's news to me if that is true.
He does. He definitely does. And also, on top of that,
where is that data,
I can tell you on a
Greg?
doorstep conversation.
Where can I find that data?
Well, I can show it to you after.
OK.
I definitely can show it to you, David. But what I can also say is that on the doorstep, Rishi Sunak improves any conversation that you're having on the doorstep. Wherever the voter starts from, whatever part of the country, mentioning Rishi Sunak, the good work he's doing as Prime Minister, always improves that conversation.
Finally, if I may, do you think you're being Conservative enough? This is what's being thrown to me the whole time, which is the Conservative Party simply has lost its way. It is not being a Conservative Party.
Well, I disagree with that. It was very Conservative during the pandemic to put in the extra support, making sure that businesses didn't go under. That is a very Conservative thing to help businesses, to make sure that the vulnerable weren't driven out by the pandemic. That was a very Conservative thing to help the vulnerable. With energy prices, we're making sure that people can cope with their energy bills. We paid half of people's energy bills over the winter. That is a very Conservative thing to give people practical help at a time of need. It's also a Conservative thing to make sure that we get the economy back on track with the inflation driven by the boost in energy prices caused by Putin's invasion. We need to get inflation down, hence the target to halve inflation. To restore growth, that is a very Conservative thing, and to reduce debt, that is definitely a Conservative thing. We know that Labour aren't bothered about inflation and they aren't bothered about debt. They left us last time with no money.
Greg, great pleasure. Thank you very much.